Sources told the Post that Jones sent a message to one of the betting ring members on February 9, 2023, urging him to place a large bet on the Lakers' opponent, the Milwaukee Bucks, because James would be out with an injury.
But we begin with a story that has dominated the headlines. The FBI announced on Thursday that two major operations, one involving the sharing of insider information for betting on NBA games, and the other centering on rigged poker games using high-tech cheating devices, have led to the arrest of more than 30 suspects.
LeBron James is making major headlines after reports surfaced that federal investigators carried out surprise searches at his homes in Los Angeles and Ohio. Officials say this situation goes far beyond basketball. It's being called Operation Nothing But Net. What began as a quiet review of insider activity within the league has exploded into one of the most jaw-dropping sagas the NBA has ever seen.
Individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today. Former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible.
For 4 months, investigators have been tracking mysterious financial patterns, private messages, and medical reports that all seem to lead back to one of the biggest stars in the game, LeBron James himself. Things started heating up when LeBron's longtime friend and former teammate, Darian Joss, was officially named in court documents this spring. Those records claim Joss was accused of sharing confidential player health details ahead of key Lakers matchups like the February 9, 2023 game versus Milwaukee and another against Oklahoma City in early 2024. In one message mentioned by officials, Joss allegedly told someone to make a move on Milwaukee tonight before any public updates were made. Just hours later, LeBron sat out that very game, and Milwaukee took the win. At first, it looked like an open and shut situation involving Joss until things suddenly took a major turn. Agents reportedly began looking deeper into LeBron's own inner circle, collecting electronic devices, financial statements, and communication records from both his LA mansion and his Ohio estate.
The first indictment involves 6 defendants. This scheme is an insider sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential information about National Basketball Association athletes and teams.
According to those familiar with the operation, the warrant suggested investigators were searching for possible links between Joss's reported insider network and a larger financial group possibly connected to a high-profile player. And that player, of course, is LeBron James. To be clear, officials haven't filed any charges against him and have said publicly that LeBron is fully cooperating with the investigation. But behind the scenes, insiders claim something different, saying investigators are reviewing encrypted conversations and overseas transfers linked to people once close to LeBron's travel team. One insider even revealed that James' name appears several times in internal reports. This situation is developing fast, and fans everywhere can't believe what they're hearing even though the full details are still sealed from the public.
We do have more breaking news this morning. 2 big names in the NBA among more than 30 people arrested in connection with federal investigation into sports betting and illegal.
Whispers across the league are getting louder. Insiders are saying that LeBron James could soon be officially named in an upcoming update to the federal investigation documents, and fans everywhere are holding their breath. Before his arrest, Darian Joss's behavior reportedly painted a wild picture of someone living way beyond his means. People staying at a luxury resort in Las Vegas described him acting like cash was unlimited, relaxing in high-end lounges, puffing on expensive cigars, and dropping LeBron's name in every conversation. One professional player at the tables told investigators that Joss used LeBron's name like it was a VIP pass, boasting that he had access to behind-the-scenes information about team health and schedules. But what really raised eyebrows is that Joss's flashy confidence often came with desperation, asking others for quick cash just to keep his run going. That's when the story started shifting from casual gossip to something much more serious. The NBA quickly responded, insisting that LeBron had absolutely no connection to Joss's private activities. League insiders told multiple outlets that James was unaware of any wrongdoing and that his relationship with Joss was completely personal, not business-related.
Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra, to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese.
Still, as investigators expanded their search, something unexpected happened. Federal documents show that agents began reviewing conversations between the two men. And that's when a familiar name reportedly appeared on the warrant, LeBron James. That revelation instantly sent shockwaves across the sports world. Now, everyone's asking the same question. If LeBron was only a witness, why would investigators need to collect files from his homes? The warrants, according to insiders, referred to the coordination of privileged information, a phrase that usually implies active communication rather than simple observation. To be clear, there's no evidence that LeBron personally engaged in any rule-breaking activity. But his close connection to Joss, combined with the timing of certain financial moves and private flights, has definitely raised eyebrows among officials. And here is where things get even more dramatic, the timeline. That February 9, 2023 game against Milwaukee wasn't just any game. It happened just 2 days after LeBron broke Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record. He sat out right after the celebration, citing soreness. And that exact matchup was reportedly the same one Joss used when he allegedly shared a private game update. When investigators connected that date to Joss's message, it created an image of coordination, intentional or not. Then about a year later in January 2024, Joss allegedly shared another confidential update before a game against Oklahoma City.
We haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic, evidence.
Reportedly earning a quick $2,500 through a digital transfer. And again, his link to LeBron was used as his selling point. The timing, the names, the coincidences, it's all too much for fans to ignore. This entire saga is unfolding while the NBA is already fighting a massive credibility crisis with several figures reportedly under investigation. Yet, despite everything, the spotlight has landed squarely on LeBron. When footage surfaced showing government vehicles outside his Brentwood mansion, social media went into full-blown meltdown. People everywhere are asking the same thing: what's really going on behind those doors? Some commentators are calling the situation a huge misunderstanding connected to Darian Joss's private dealings.
Same kind of extortion that we heard when Cassie took the stand and testified on that airplane ride back from France. Diddy said, "You don't do a freak-off, I'm going to release one of the freak-off videos that you are profiled in," and
while others, including several sports law experts, say it's highly unusual for investigators to search a person's home if they're only considered a witness. In the days following the searches, LeBron James' legal team stayed almost completely silent, only releasing a short statement saying they were fully cooperating with authorities. Now, in legal circles, that phrase doesn't always mean someone's been cleared. It often hints that ongoing discussions or negotiations are happening behind the scenes.
That he has with others, and just because no one else has been charged, which normally in a RICO case you would have others charged. It was a statute that designed to get mob bosses, trying to get at criminal behavior that's like a web of criminal behavior that you can't necessarily prove like the one thing or the statute of limitations expired on the other thing, but you're just showing this bad guy who's operating what's clearly an enterprise that over and over engages in criminal problems or criminal acts.
According to one insider, agents reportedly took multiple electronic devices, including secured tablets that may have belonged to team associates. Though the contents haven't been revealed, leaks suggest they might include travel notes and scheduling details going back to late 2022.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
The same period when Joss started spending more time around the Lakers. From that point forward, things started getting murkier, blending rumor with revelation. Multiple sources claimed that what began as a small internal review into game-related activities was only one layer of a much deeper inquiry. Behind closed doors, investigators allegedly started comparing communication logs between Joss and a second circle of entertainment insiders, some of whom were already connected to another major case.
so maybe the judge is going to give him more than time served.
But we should say that the maximum he could get is 20 years.
And that's what I want to get into for a minute, because this is some racist you-know-what, this man.
That discovery reportedly made agents widen their scope once again, looking deeper into LeBron's broader network, including business partners and public figures beyond basketball. When asked why they would revisit those links, one analyst explained that Operation Nothing But Net focuses not only on potential insider activity, but also on tracing complex financial movements across sports and entertainment spaces. Sponsorship deals, event promotions, brand partnerships, those can sometimes overlap in confusing ways, giving investigators a lot to look at. If any of those financial paths crossed with Joss or his known contacts, the situation could become much more serious. Still, it's important to remember none of this has been confirmed in court, and LeBron himself has not been charged with any wrongdoing. Publicly, LeBron has been trying hard to keep his usual calm and positive image.
I've talked for a while, a lot of people are buzzing that Diddy's former BFFs are real quiet.
And they have been.
And people were wondering why and who's the next to fall. And then Jay-Z comes out, and then LeBron James says, I'm stepping away for excused personal reasons. And people are going, oh, what is going?
Just weeks before all this went public, he was seen courtside in Los Angeles wearing a bright floral cardigan, laughing and cheering for his team like nothing was wrong. But behind the scenes, people close to him say he's been under major pressure. He's reportedly cut down on interviews, skipped a few scheduled media appearances, and kept travel to a minimum while everything unfolds. Sources within the Lakers organization are also being extremely cautious, waiting for clear information before making any official comment. For now, the entire basketball world is watching as one of its biggest legends stands at the center of a growing storm that keeps getting more complicated by the day. And just when people thought the story couldn't get any wilder, investigators reportedly turned their attention toward LeBron's connections to another figure already serving time for organizing infamous private celebrity gatherings.
But then when they win, I criticize them when they're messing up in an effort to make sure that you don't do it again. I'm not wishing anybody to fail, but I have to call it how I see it because I have an audience to answer to. These players, I don't get paid.
That's where things take a shocking twist. Federal agents allegedly began tracing social and business connections that led straight to Vex Kingston. What started as a follow-up on league-related records suddenly crossed paths with the world of entertainment, high-end events, and private guest lists. Vex, who is currently serving time after being convicted for charges tied to misconduct and inappropriate activity involving adult entertainment, saw his own empire crumble publicly. And now, somehow, one of the world's biggest sports stars has been pulled into that same orbit.
Let's talk about LeBron James, the Lakers head coach, saying he is out for personal reasons. It's an excused absence. However, social media trying to connect it to a resurfaced clip where James joined Diddy Combs on a live stream and said, quote, hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party. I think that went viral. I remember.
Fans everywhere are left stunned, wondering just how deep this connection really goes and what it could mean for LeBron's future in both basketball and business. Almost overnight, an old clip resurfaced and went completely viral, a video showing LeBron laughing alongside Vex during an Instagram live session where he playfully said, ain't no party like a Vex party. Back then, it was nothing more than light-hearted fun between two celebrities. But now, with all the recent headlines, that same video has been reinterpreted through a totally different lens, and the internet is dissecting every frame like it's evidence.
Now for some of the biggest trending stories you'll want to know today. Sports legend. People call him the GOAT. LeBron James taking an excused absence from the basketball season. This as resurfaced video is being examined.
People slowed the footage down, analyzed facial expressions, and started speculating about whether LeBron's friendly comment suggested a closer link to Vex world than anyone realized. It's wild how fast public perception can flip when a situation changes. To be clear, LeBron has not been accused of any illegal or inappropriate behavior. However, insiders say his name reportedly came up in conversations about the guest lists for Vex's once famous private events, now under intense federal review. Those gatherings, once described as over-the-top celebrity hangouts, are now being re-examined in testimony.
Father, great husband, great philanthropist, great businessman, great director, great producer, great host, great basketball player, great leader. I mean, my God, I have done everything but put diapers and a bib on this brother. But it ain't enough, because one thing matters to him and one thing only, and that's him being recognized as the greatest of all times. Well, you're not.
That paints a much darker picture of manipulation and misconduct within Vex network. Despite the growing storm, LeBron's legal representatives have remained silent, refusing to issue any comment. The Lakers organization has also declined to respond to media requests, likely waiting until more facts come out, but that silence isn't cooling the situation. It's making it burn even hotter. In the very same week that agents reportedly removed items from LeBron's homes, prosecutors announced they were expanding Operation Nothing But Net, merging new data from entertainment-related accounts tied to Vex Business Circle. Internal reports mention a cross-referenced ledger, suggesting investigators believe some of the same financial middlemen might have been involved in both Joss's insider connections and Vex entertainment dealings. That's when officials started suspecting that certain payments and guest lists might actually overlap. Behind the scenes, PR teams are working overtime while corporate sponsors quietly review contracts that include LeBron's name and image. Insiders have even told us that at least 2 major brands have temporarily paused upcoming campaigns featuring LeBron until more clarity is provided by federal officials.
We've done 3 others where we've laid out the prosecution case. This time, we're talking specifically, what is Diddy's defense? And we decided to test it with a mock jury, and it is fascinating.
It is absolutely fascinating, keeping in mind that the real jury will be sitting down to do this. The trial starts.
Inside NBA circles, the conversation has shifted. It's no longer about whether LeBron knew anything about Joss's activities. It's about whether he had any awareness of Vex's events and what those gatherings were really about. Even the smallest hint of association with that controversy has reportedly caused panic among executives and brand managers. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any more complicated, fresh whispers started spreading from people once part of Vex's inner social circle. One former event organizer allegedly told reporters that LeBron's name appeared in internal coordination chats as far back as 2018-17. Though none of those communications have been publicly verified, another insider claimed that investigators, while reviewing digital records seized from Vex security staff, found contact logs mentioning several high-profile athletes. Again, nothing confirmed, no direct evidence, but these unverified claims have fueled a new wave of online speculation. Now, self-proclaimed internet detectives are combing through old posts, videos, and photos, turning social media archives into makeshift investigation boards. The deeper people dig, the more theories emerge, and the bigger the mystery around LeBron's true connection to Vex's world becomes. Reports say several private messages recovered from devices taken during the search of LeBron's mansion are now being carefully reviewed. Investigators are reportedly checking for possible links to a handful of exclusive events hosted in Los Angeles and Miami. Sources familiar with the material say the conversations include encrypted chats connected to names later tied to Vex's management network. Whether these were casual talks between friends, business discussions, or something more confidential remains a mystery.